Hey everyone, Francis here from What a Hell of a Way to Die. If you've been wondering how you can support myself and Nate here on the show, check out our Patreon at patreon.com/hellofaWayToDie. Joining the Patreon at any level gets you access to our Discord server, one bonus episode a month, and early access to interviews. At the $5 level, you'll get more bonus content and an opportunity to vote on monthly Zoo Crew episodes. And at the $10 and up level, you'll get exclusive stickers, patches, and pins sent out to you every quarter. Your support means that we can keep our regular episodes free and make sure we don't have to rely on advertisers. If you can, please consider joining and supporting your two favorite veteran dads.
Glory, glory, what a hell of a way to die. Glory, glory, what a hell of a way to die. Glory, glory, what a hell of a way to die. He ain't gonna jump no more.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of What a Hell of a... You know what, I'm gonna go ahead and do the new one. What a Hell of a Way to Dad. We have rebranded, new bonus episode, new podcast. Not really a new podcast. It's going to be the exact same bullshit, just a little more family friendly, I guess. This month I have Eric with me from the Soundtracker podcast. Once again, Eric, how are you doing?
I'm good. I glad to be here. You know, I've shaken the rust off after an unplanned 6-month hiatus from my show. I've gotten a few under my belt now, so I'm not like worried I'm going to come on here and not know what the fuck I'm doing anymore. You know what I mean? I've got it.
It's talking about movies, something that, you know, who doesn't love to talk about movies? Everybody loves movies. So we, in spirit of some of the stuff that I've talked to you about wanting to come on Soundtracker to talk about musicals, and also, you know, this podcast being a little bit of war-centric, I chose a musical war movie. So 3.5 hours of Gone with the Wind. We watched Mulan from 1998, the Disney epic movie during this Disney Renaissance that was happening in the 90s. Though a little post-Renaissance. So Eric, you're about my age. You're in your 40s, right?
Yeah, 43.
Yeah. Okay. So you're like golden age for some of this. Though 1998, you're probably a little beyond Disney movies like this. So have you seen Mulan before? Is this something that you watched when you were younger?
It's funny you say that because I was thinking about that last night when I was watching it. And I think I talked about this because I did The Lion King on Soundtracker, and Lion King was like right in the prime for me of like, you know, Aladdin, Lion King. That whole lineup is just like shit that I love. And then kind of beyond that were ones like I have seen Mulan, but it was like I saw it maybe twice. I saw it once. I didn't see it in theaters because at that point I was a senior in high school when this came out.
Right. You're not going to go see Mulan.
Actually, I had just graduated high school. So yeah, I'm too cool for that. You know, I'm not going to the theater to see a Disney movie anymore. I'm
fucking see a kids movie. Get out of here.
American Pie or something.
Yeah, I'm going to go watch a man fuck a pie. like an adult.
But you know, I still had that. And I saw this on video, but I have only seen this once or twice, and it has probably been since 1998, maybe 1999 since I last saw it. So
all right.
It was like coming back to it for the first time, basically.
All right, so I will say Mulan is I have a kid, so I use that as my excuse for having watched so many Disney movies, but honestly, I just like a lot of these Disney movies. Mulan is one of 13 official Disney princesses, and if you think, Francis, there's so many more princesses, what are you talking about? Like, there is a line of actual princesses. You've got Raya from Raya and the Last Dragon, Tiana from Princess and the Frog, Moana, Mulan, we've got Belle, Pocahontas, Snow White, Cinderella, Rapunzel, Merida, Jasmine, Aurora, and Ariel. So those are all of your official Disney princesses. The ones in Frozen don't count because they're queens now. In case you were wondering, or really I just needed to info dump that. Anyway. So Mulan has the distinction of being the one princess who is not actually a princess. She does not really gain... I think they kind of try to retcon a little bit later, but she's never an official, like... She's never given really a ranking of princess. She marries a general, which gives you, you know, militarily wise, that gives you the rank of general being married to a general, but it does not make you a princess. So she's a little bit of an outlier there, but I've always liked this because it's the first like real kind of epic war movie that Disney tried to do, I guess. Well, in the context of like its animation studios, right? This one has some really cool effects where when you've got like the Huns thundering down the mountainside, at the time, that's very new technology that's allowing them to do computer animation, to do something like that, along with the hand drawn animation. So this is a nice little mashup of animating technology that you're seeing, and Disney has always been at the forefront of animation technology. In way nowadays, in ways it doesn't really matter. Like when what's the movie with Merida in it came out, the Scottish one. They're like, oh, look, we can animate like all of her individual hair. Like I don't give a shit about that. But thundering hordes of Huns, I can get behind.
It's funny because I have a whole thing on, well, not whole big thing, but like that was one of the big notes that I had, was how that scene that you're talking about is like watching it last night, again, having not seen it in 25 years. I watched it on Disney Plus when I was watching it on a pretty big screen, and was pretty struck by how fucking cool that little sequence looked. Like you said, you got those two animation styles coming in when the hand-drawn snow, the avalanche started coming down the mountain. I was like, this is really cool looking. Like, this is really neat.
Yeah, they got to play around with a lot of really cool visuals, and they got to do, like I said, they got to do war. Something that has not happened. You might get like a parent, a mom dies or something to make you feel sad about Disney, a Disney character. But this is the first time it's like, no, this is somebody who's going to go off to war, and they're going to fuck some shit up. So Mulan is actually based on an old Chinese mythology. It's considered, Mulan does not exist, but the story of Mulan has been around for centuries at this, millennia, honestly. Like some of the early ones are from, the early BC kind of time. So there's a long history of this story of the woman who takes the place of her father in the war and becomes the big war hero at the end. Historical anachronisms, this takes place during the Han Dynasty, which is about 200 BC, but also they have rockets, which is about the 1600s. So, but we wouldn't have gotten our cool effects, right? We wouldn't have gotten the cool dragon rockets that they get to shoot off all over the place.
And the dragon rockets are that was, see, I don't even think about that. I don't think about those. You could tell me anything in a movie and I'm not going to, I am so bad about like giving any sort of critical thought to shit like that, unless it's like glaring, like wouldn't even have thought of.
Here's the thing. It does not in any way take away from the movie. I do not consider these complaints. I'm not like, oh, how dare they not get, the long millennia, 5 millennias of Chinese history all smashed into the correct, because like the Huns weren't until like the 3rd or 4th century. So, it's all kind of, but it all, Disney spent a lot of time going around China, working with Chinese historians, and really crafting and building this whole story. So I was always a big fan of it. Some of my other favorites, you mentioned Lion King. One of my other favorites at the time was Hercules, which didn't do too well, but I really liked Hercules, and Emperor's New Groove, I think has a real cult following as well.
Emperor's New Groove is one of those movies that it's been weird to watch that grow over time, like, because I maybe I'm misremembering this, but I thought I remember that movie being like notoriously like one that did poorly at the box office, but like over the years it has grown in stature. Like, yeah, you're 100% right. That's a movie that's got like a pretty big cult following now.
Right, and it's it was not popular at the box office. It was a lot of rewrites that went into that one too. But we're not talking about Emperor's New Groove. We're talking Mulan. So as I said, I have been a fan of this one for a while. We start out with being introduced to Mulan and the family. We get introduced to the dynasty that's happening as well. Really opens up a lot of really great stuff. So because the Huns are coming, there has to be conscription to get all these people going. But before that, we have to meet Mulan. We have our very first opening number, Honor to Us All, where Mulan is introduced as kind of tomboyish. She doesn't really fit into the society that's going on there, which is, a big theme for Disney, the princess that doesn't fit in and she wants to go off and do her own thing. So we have our first Honor to Us All, which is, I think, I think all the musical numbers in here are really well done. And this is a good one to open up on. uh, we're introduced to the cricket, we're introduced to the family, Mulan, all these great characters.
Well, and it is so. I didn't remember the songs in this hitting as hard as they did. That's one I didn't remember, other than not be a man. I can make you a man. I'm blanking on the name of it myself, but that's like the one that I remembered from this the most. But like, I think the songs in this go toe to toe with some of the best Disney stuff. I think there's some really good stuff, and I think one of the things that this movie did, because again, having gone into it, having not seen it in so long, I forgot, because there's always, not always, but oftentimes there's like an animal sidekick, and I won't even call it a complaint, because obviously Mushu and Lucky are wonderful sidekicks, but I wish the little brother had gotten more time, because it might be the cutest dog animation in any movie ever.
Yeah, he was a fun little guy. The addition of Eddie Murphy is very interesting, because I love Eddie Murphy just like as an evolving character throughout the last couple of decades. Like, this is the only voice acting he's done is this and Shrek, and that's it.
And I had to double check which came first last night, because I was like, I feel like, wait, did they do this did they pick Murphy because of Shrek for Mushu? Because it does seem kind of like a weird choice in this movie to have Eddie Murphy do Mushu.
Right, and he's fantastic at it. But it is a, like, I feel like in the 90s, Disney took a few more chances about who they could kind of add into these, because, this is a heavy Asian cast.
Mm-hmm.
Other than the guy who voices Yao, everybody is Asian. Not necessarily Chinese, but is Asian.
Well, Miguel Ferrer.
But we have this wonderful tapestry that they lay out for the beginning of it, where we meet everybody. We meet Mulan. We get our first really great song. She fails at matchmaking. I don't know how. She doesn't pour tea correctly, and now nobody's going to want to marry her.
Right.
Because in this world, the only thing that you could do as a woman is make babies for the make soldiers for the emperor, basically. So all of the honor of her family gets tied into, like, there's never just like, oh, what if I don't like the guy? It's just like, I just have to do this because that's the important thing, is bringing honor to the family by getting married, apparently.
Yeah, and becoming like a baby factory.
Yeah, that's all you can do when you're a woman in rural China, I guess. We get another really great song called Reflection. This is one of Christina Aguilera's very early songs, and it's kind of considered one of the ones that springboarded her career afterwards. This is a very short song of lamentation. Who am I meant to be? Another heavy theme in a lot of the princess movies of, I don't seem to fit in. What am I supposed to do? Who am I supposed to be? And again, really, really wonderful song.
Oh yeah, I mean, I forgot that Christina Aguilera had anything to do with this, and as soon as the voice started, I was like, I know this voice. Like, I had to check who it was, because I listened to this on Spotify, but I didn't look at the track listing to see who sang it. Like, I didn't realize Donny Osmond was is the
singer. Yeah, he's the singer for for our main character. Shen. Shan Yu is the bad guy. Got Mushu, Li Sheng, that's right.
Yeah, Li Sheng.
Li, and like I said, the only non Asian person in there is the person who plays Yao as well, who specifically did not want to, because he's like, this is, I'm not Asian, this seems wrong, and they said, no, we're gonna have plenty. It reminds me of the movie Coco, which is a movie that has an all Hispanic cast. But also, the guy was like, I can't be the one person who makes a Pixar movie and doesn't put John Ratzenberger in it. So he's like, I have to put him in there because we just do that. But so it's like, it's a movie with all Hispanic actors and John Ratzenberger to add it in. You got to round it out. All right. So Mulan, the Huns are coming. The conscription notices go out, a male from every household. Mulan's father, who is always walking with a cane and very slow and very old.
The worst person to conscript.
Right. But, you need bodies. You need things to churn into red paste underneath the Huns. because again, like historically, that's kind of what you peasants were. It's like if you're not farming, you should be dying on a battlefield somewhere. So Mulan takes it upon herself to not watch her father go and get killed off on a battlefield in his old age, steals his horse, steals the sword, and runs off to join the encampment.
Now, this is where last night I messaged you because, again, I'm not going to keep beating this horse, but I hadn't seen this in a long time. And I kind of forgot, like, even how the plot went. And I messaged you about this part because then I started to remember, okay, yes, then she goes and she's the one who, when I messaged you last night, I was more so thinking about, like, could you imagine how miserable the conversation around this movie would have been in the age of the culture wars?
Ben Shapiro would be so hopping mad at this. There would be so many tweets about being a man, but and how many, like, honestly, there's a.
I was just thinking every freak angle that could come at it. Like you've had Ben Shapiro being mad that, like, this movie shows that, like, women could fight in war. He'd be out there, with this, hey, women can't fight in the war, his bullshit. And like, I think you'd have, like, the groomer people being like, they think there was some sort of trans message in here or something. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, it would be fucking awful.
Yeah, and when the live action Mulan came out in 2020, I never saw that. The only live action remake of a Disney movie that I've watched is Aladdin, which I'm like the one person that kind of liked that movie. So, but for the most part, I don't watch the live action remakes. They're generally pretty terrible.
And I always forget that even happened. The live action Mulan, I forgot about that.
Yeah, and there is a 2009 Mulan. There's a lot of Mulan, honestly. The Chinese have been doing Mulan plays for centuries at this point in various incantations, but the same, different ways of ending, maybe different plot points, but still the same woman disguises as man, goes to war, wins wars. The same kind of concept. So there has been a lot of Mulan. The most recent Mulan movie, other than the American one, 2009, there's a Chinese one that I've found on YouTube. Great thing about, like, wanting to watch Chinese movies is because there's no intellectual property rights. And kind of, China also doesn't really consider our stuff intellectual property. So, you can just put it on YouTube and nobody's going to give a shit. And there's always, subtitles and everything. It's great. So
yeah, it's a great resource for.
Yeah, I will probably be watching. I think I watched the Battle of Lake Changjin, which is a fantastic movie if you ever get around to it. It's the Chinese side of the Battle of the Chosin River in the Korean War, and it's a Chinese movie because there's mostly Chinese soldiers that were fighting, and it's very propaganda-y, and a lot of people gave it shit for that. Like, I don't know, have you ever seen an American war movie? Like, what do you think all that shit is?
Yeah, watch any even non-war movies. Like, one thing I was looking at my notes, and I before we move into anything else, I forgot to mention this. So you know how Mulan has, like, answers written on her arm when she does before we move, because we moved past that, I forgot to. I started laughing last night watching this because a couple years ago at the school that I'm at, a student who's, like, a really nice kid. Doesn't do anything wrong, never gets in trouble. In one of her classes, apparently didn't study and had written all of the answers on her hand. And when the teacher walked by, she was like, I could just imagine it, like her being like, act cool, act normal, and went to throw him a high five with the answers on her hand. Fucking cheating when she went to, like, throw him a high five. And I just watching that last night, I'd completely forgotten that it happened. I started laughing at that. I just cheated like a normal person. I would just, when the teacher wasn't looking, flip to whatever page in the book I needed or something. You know what I mean? I didn't write answers down on my arm or anything. Right.
No, you got to write it on a little tiny piece of paper that you can eat later so you can destroy the evidence. That was my move once. And I just was like, what's easier? Studying.
Just
probably.
Study, right.
All right. So Mulan runs off. So I also want to say, the scene, the little montage we have of Mulan getting ready to go and taking the horse, taking the sword, leaving the hair, the comb. It has this really funky kind of synthesizer music going on, which always kind of hit me out of place. I don't know if you noticed that.
I did, and I think that's part of Jerry Goldsmith's score on the soundtrack. I believe that song is in there.
Yeah, it's just a weird addition. considering everything, because everything else is very much like either ensemble singing or
Like sweeping and grandiose or something.
yeah, and I understand like in a different musical if you were laying out the music differently, like it works perfectly in that scene. It's a perfectly fine song to have, or piece of music to have over that scene, to give you that urgency and darkness, and we have to, furtiveness. We have to do this under the cover of darkness. Nobody can catch us. But just with everything else, it always felt really out of place. This is like one of my one things about this movie that always kind of struck me, is that I always felt that piece was off.
Yeah, I noticed it last night too, and but it goes by so quick.
Yeah, you don't really have to sit on it too much. So,
well, and one of the other, this is where, because I don't think you've met Kang, her horse, until the there's like a ton of great animal drawings in this movie. Like Kang is a really fucking cool looking horse.
Have you seen Tangled, with the Rapunzel one?
No.
The horse in that one is pretty good too. It's much more of a character in it, but yeah, the horror Kang is great. The scene where he just stomps on Mushu always gets me to laugh.
Or where he refuses to go with them and they have to ride the panda up. That's another great animal, the panda that they go riding up with the him doing like a marionette with Lucky. And Lucky is great too. Like I had forgotten that Lucky, the cricket, like, it was that opening, like he's a lucky cricket. And I'm thinking it's like that one scene, and the joke is that she goes in and fucks it up real bad. And then I was like, oh, that's right. Lucky's in this for the long haul.
Yeah. Disney likes to have animal sidekicks, sometimes one that can talk and sometimes one that can't.
Mm-hmm.
Moana weirdly had two that can't talk. Like one of them's the pig and one of them's the goofy chicken.
Yeah.
The chicken voiced by Alan Tudyk, as well. If
I didn't realize that. My girlfriend didn't really know who he was. I mean, she doesn't know names. She's seen him in things. But we watched Tucker and Dale versus Evil. And so like great that, one. Like, and now she's like, we're watching Resident Alien. She'd never seen that before, and Firefly. So she's like, everything with him in it, she wants to see. And I'm like, I know a couple good things that he's in. Like,
yeah, he's got some good. Yeah, show her Moana. It's just like, yeah, you didn't know he's a chicken. He does. There's video of him recording for the chicken, and at one point he just laughs and says, I went to Juilliard, right?
I don't know if he still has Twitter, but he had one of my favorite bios. His bio just said, "I'm an actor and shit."
Yeah. Good stuff. All right, so we have Mulan running off. The ancestors awaken. George Takei awakens all of the other ghosts to bring forth a guardian to bring Mulan back, and we get introduced to Mushu, who's a tiny little red dragon, voiced by Eddie Murphy, and he's very excited. He wants to go off and do bring Mulan back and do everything. He says, "No. You fucked up too much. Apparently made somebody lose his head, and you don't get to do rescue missions anymore. You just wake everybody up with the gong."
Well, and that's another trope not trope, but like it's a Disney thing to have when you talk about the animal sidekicks. Like there's always ones who are like disgraced or whatever within their own tribe or whatever, and then like it's sort of their arc too is to like prove their worth.
Yes, there's usually a couple of redemption stories going on at the same time. There's your A plot redemption and your B plot redemption.
Yep.
So they tell him to go wake up the Guardian, and he ends up breaking the Guardian by smacking it too hard with the gong. The Guardian completely falls into rubble, and so he holds up the head and pretends to be the Guardian. He's like, yes, I will save Mulan, and goes off. And I wish Eddie Murphy had done more voice acting.
I know, because all of like Mushu is like, I think 90% of why I like this as much as I did coming back to it last night. You know what I mean? Like, because I really enjoyed this. I really like this one coming back to it.
Yeah. Eddie Murphy has fantastic comedic timing throughout the entire thing. You would not, it's voice acting versus regular acting. I know that there's a lot of huge differences to it. And voice acting, I feel like you have to push a little bit harder because you don't get to do the actions, right? So you have to emote the actions with your voice, and he is fantastic at it. Really, really well done. And all the Shrek movies too. He's great as Donkey.
Yeah. Is that so? You did say those are the only two animated movies he's done is Shrek and this.
The only voiceover work that he's done.
Okay.
He's been in movies, obviously, and done a lot of stuff, and gave us Party All the Time, which is still remains a banger today.
Have you watched Axel F yet?
I have not.
I haven't either. I've heard I have heard good things from most of the people that I know that have seen it.
I am hesitant for this era of reboots that we have and bringing things back. It's
Legacy reboots.
Today I was looking for just something to put on the background while I worked, and I was on Hulu and I saw that it's got, new Futuramas, and I was like, oh yeah, I want to check out the new Futuramas. I was a big fan of Futurama when it was on originally, and like one of the episodes is they have to deal with like a pandemic, and then one of the episodes is Zap Brannigan gets canceled, and I'm like, I don't want to do this. I don't think this isn't like the let's be topical thing is like original Futurama stuff will always be fine. Like it takes place in the future. You can do whatever you want with it. It doesn't have to be topical. Like one of the new ones that's coming out later this month is Bender starts NFTs. I'm like, is anybody going to know what the fucking NFT is in 5 years? Like,
right.
I barely know what it is now. Like we're already past all that. Don't date yourself with it. So I'm always kind of like, I don't make me something new. There's lots of cool new stuff that's out there. I don't need to watch the old stuff. Though I will say the Chip and Dale movie was really good.
I did not see that.
Were you a fan of Rescue Rangers as a kid?
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Oh, you got to watch the movie. It's really good.
You know what? I'm adding it to my list then.
Yeah. They play as we were actors in Rescue Rangers, and now this is what we're doing, X amount of years later kind of thing. So it's not, hey, we're going to do more Rescue Ranger stuff. It's, we're Hollywood Chipmunks or something along those lines. It has a lot of that like kind of Roger Rabbit, like half animation, half live action kind of stuff can be a lot of fun. So I would recommend it.
I love when they take IP like that and do like that. I will die mad about Coyote versus Acme. I will die mad about that.
Oh God. Yeah. Yeah. I'm the same. I love it when they take, especially when it's something that's not that important. Like Chip and Dale's Rescue Rangers is not an important piece of cultural touchstone. Like my daughter was into it for a little bit, and I was rewatching it, and I was like, ugh, this show is not that good.
Right.
When you're 6, it's great. So,
yeah. Well, that's the Brady Bunch movies do that really well.
Yeah. Just, turn it on its head. Have a little fun with it. Do something different. It's fucking Chip and Dale. Nobody gives a shit.
The Jump Street movies are really fun for that, too.
Yes, yes, they are, yeah. Okay, so Mushu is off. Mulan is off. Mulan reaches the encampment, the military encampment, and she's trying to psych herself up for going on in there. Mushu introduces himself in great fanfare with a lot of smoke and fire, and then as he comes out all tiny, and the horse stomps on him a bunch, and it's just a fun little scene. And he keeps calling the horse a cow too, which is also great.
Yeah, that's a really funny running gag. He keeps calling him that.
Yeah. So Mulan needs to join the military. She needs to walk in. She has no idea how to do these, so she's going to take man lessons, I guess, from a small dragon, and how to walk, how to introduce yourself, and it's all, of course, every trope of like, oh, you got to walk in, you got to punch the biggest guy you see.
Yeah.
And she's just walking. She's noticing everybody's like gross and stinky, and she's like, no, that's just men. That's just how men are. It's like they stink. That's
what's so funny about it too, that it's like she's joining this like elite army, and they're just a bunch of slobs. One of them's voiced by Harvey Fierstein. Like, it's really funny.
Yeah. And they're the one other thing that always kills me about this is how the size of the military is constantly changing from scene to scene.
To whatever it needs.
Right. Whatever. Like, so we've got our 3 main guys. We've got Yao, Chin-Li, and Ping. And, the big guy, the small guy, and the medium goofy guy. And then, like, whenever we need to, like, flesh things out, suddenly a bunch of other guys will show up. But for the most part, we're just kind of around these, like, couple of characters. And great characters, I would say, also. Like, every person that they add into this continues to be really great. The scribe, who is voiced by James Hong, is a fantastic addition to it. Like, everybody plays off of themselves really well.
That picture that they show of him when he's standing with Li Shang's dad and he's like pointing, I could laugh like out loud at that last night. He's like just a little fucking weasel.
Yeah.
Just like the most kiss-ass company man, except in the era of the Huns.
Exactly. And you know what? There will always be a kiss-ass guy like that. I've been instead of watching Futurama, I put on the Hobbit movie, the third one, because I have a weird love for the Hobbit movies. I don't understand it either, but
I don't either.
Yeah. There's always in Tolkien, there's always a wormy guy that you got to deal with, and there's the Lake Town wormy guy, or if you watch Lord of the Rings, there's the Rohan wormy guy. So you always got to have a wormy guy somewhere. So the general hands off his. He's like, I'm gonna go fight the Huns. You're my son. You're a captain now. I need you to train these guys and get them out there to fight the Huns too. My concierge here is going to stay and give me reports, but for the most part, I want to see you guys get this. I want to see you whip these guys into military fighting shape. Now, Mulan comes to the camp. She causes all kinds of fucked up stir because she is punching and pushing and does not understand kind of how to talk to men, especially talk to military men. Which, like, today, we have women in the military all the time, and I hear just as terrible jokes out of their mouths as I do anybody else. So, yeah, we've come a long way, baby.
Yep. Yeah. Woke mind virus. That's what you're talking about right now. This is the woke mind virus in action.
Yeah, exactly. Like, nobody. It's when it's your buddies sitting around talking about how they got laid over the weekend, and then when like one of them is a woman, and that's when the shit hits the fan. That's when you need to figure out, is this a bro, or are we going to be weird about this? And you got to high five your bro for getting some over the weekend,
yeah,
whether it be a man bro or a woman bro.
That's exactly right. You got to be happy for him.
Exactly. So we get one of our first a training montage here. Li Shang shoots an arrow up into a post at the top, and it's like, you guys, somebody has to go and get that for me, and puts weights on the arms, one for discipline and one for strength, and you need these two things to get the arrow. So.
I also want to point out that in that scene, I believe this is the scene where he comes out shirtless and they make a point of making him just like fucking yoked. Like he's like a fucking, like a bodybuilder basically.
Yeah. Yeah. Just, and having Mulan just be like, oh shit. I didn't, right. There's some that aren't weird and stinky. All right.
She's going to get a high five soon. That's what's happening.
Yeah, it's exactly. You gotta pour one out for your lady bros. So we have our I'll Make a Man Out of You montage. This is a song that I have on my workout playlist. And it's, I know you lift. I'm sure you still lift, right?
Yeah.
Do a squat set to I'll Make a Man Out of You. I'm telling you, man, it just gives you that little, you throw an extra 10 pounds when you're listening to this.
I've thought about it every time I've listened to this soundtrack in the last few days, because you told me that it was on your workout playlist. And it like, here's the thing, man, there was one time where I had like a, back when the iPod days, I had one that I would wear to the gym that just had some songs on it. And it would like, but it was one of the ones that if the headphones came out, it would play through the actual I don't give a shit what I listen to at the gym, like as long as it's music that I enjoy. And so like I've lifted to like the Supremes, the Temptations. And there was like one time I was listening to like the Supremes and my headphone cord popped out and it was like playing and the guy next to me was just like, fuck you listening to? But like I could lift to this song. That's what I'm saying. Long story short, I could lift to this song.
Yeah, it's a great song. It's a great training montage where we have, everybody looks super hopeless. And then the captain's just like, there's no way I'm ever going to make a man out of you. And then Mulan is the one who manages to figure out that she's got to use the weights as a kind of as a rope to get her up to the top so that she can get the arrow. And it ends with her throwing the arrow down to the captain's feet. And
the point there is it's not just strength, it's also brains. You need both.
Exactly. And I feel like, as we were talking there, how this would be received in 2024 if this came out. And I really love this. And there's also A Girl Worth Fighting For, which we'll get to, which are very, heteronormative kind of songs. But I feel like that's the point. Like, it's kind of ironic, like, I'm going to make a man out of you. And the only one who can get the arrow down is a woman, right? Like, it's or the what do we all fight for? It's the women who are still important to us. It has these elements of gender roles, but it understands that it's kind of turning them around here and making it so that it's, while all these other people are like, yes, we're manly men, we're doing manly shit, we're doing war and being men, and what we have here is Mulan, who is better than all of them.
Yeah, and this is what I'm talking about. This falls into that whole thing I keep bringing up, but like that's the type of shit that would have like guys like Ben Shapiro spitting mad. The idea that like women can do things that men can't do. You know what I mean? And that's a completely absurd way to go through life.
The history has been replete with women who have fucked shit up. Like, one of the best snipers during World War II was a Soviet woman who like popped like 250 Nazi grapes, like, I'm not, you don't have to stop yourself short. Women can also do war crimes is what I'm trying to tell you.
Well, and two things that we didn't, I like, that I glossed over here in my notes. I love Mulan's attempt at sounding like a guy is very funny. Like, 'cause you could tell it's just the actress doing a guy voice. Like, they didn't, it's like, hey, but the animation when she's trying to like spit to fit in with the guys is like really gross looking. Like, it's really good, like disgusting, like thick spit that won't fall off of her mouth animation. It's pretty good.
Right. And whomst among us, hasn't accidentally pulled one of those.
I've done it plenty of times.
Yeah. You've had about 7 beers and you're halfway through your first pack of cigarettes. Sometimes it just doesn't come out the way you're hoping it will.
Hey, I have a question for you. Is Li Shang? Would you consider Li Shang a nepo baby?
Absolutely. But the upside though is that because he grew up around it, he probably does have a better understanding for war. So at least it's not like one of Brad Pitt's kids being like, oh well, I've learned how to act because of my dad is Brad Pitt. Like
Max Landis, my dad killed Vic Morrow. I should write screenplays.
Exactly. Sometimes nepotism is not great, but if it comes down to a yoked out dude who can train a bunch of people how to pull an arrow out of a post, sure. Like, yeah. It's
acceptable.
I can't do that. I can't do what he does. Well, I don't know. I have read Art of War. Maybe I can do what he does. Art of War is mostly about logistics anyway, so making sure that that all your food and your rockets and your horses are where they need to be. So we have after our montage, Mulan as Ping is accepted into the community, and this is how being in the military works. You bond through pain and anguish and hating somebody else. It's how it works. Like everybody in basic training bonds together because we all hate our drill sergeants. And that's how you manage to bring 60 people together, is to be like, fuck that guy. We all agree, whatever our difference is, fuck that guy in particular, right? All right, we're in agreement.
It either goes that way or you'd murder suicide yourself in Arlie Ermy, if Full Metal Jacket's to be believed.
I don't know if they did any blanket parties with Mulan on this one. I didn't. They left it out of the montage if they did. All right, so we have a great scene where Mulan is taking a bath in the river, and then all of the other the 3 friends come and jump in, and they're all kind of bonding. She's still trying to keep her womanhood hidden in secrets, and is. This is one of those, like, again, the Disney is trying something a little bit different in referencing dicks, I think, but like in a Disney way, like, because the whole thing is Mulan is just like, oh God, I've seen way too many penises now.
Right.
Which she doesn't say out loud, but she's just like, oh, if I never see a naked man again, it'll be too soon. And then a bunch of naked dudes go running right by her.
Very funny part too. Yeah. Very funny.
Right. And it's one of those like, Disney understand dicks are funny. And that's okay. I also read one of the in the trivia is that this almost caught a PG rating because they make a cross-dresser joke in it, which there are two kind of references to Mulan wearing men's clothes. There's the one where one of the ancestors, like, your daughter had to run off and be a cross-dresser. And there's one point where Mushu says, "Oh, you just had to go take your little drag show on the road, didn't you?"
The MPA is so fucking weird, man. Like, I just, well, again, just coming off the American Pie episode that I did, one of the things that I found out was that one of the things they had to do to get that movie bumped down from NC-17 to R was remove 2 thrusts when Jim's fucking the pie. They had to knock it from 4 to 2, or it was NC-17. Like, who the fuck decides this? It's so weird.
It's so, like, yeah, our movie rating systems, like, especially when you watch stuff that was considered PG in, like, 1983, like, I think Labyrinth is considered a PG movie. That is not.
Airplane is, and there's tits within 1 minute.
Oh, God, yeah, yeah. So, I don't know. So, I'm not making these up, unfortunately. You should put me in charge of rating movies. So, then I have to watch, look, parents, you know what's best for your kids. Why are you asking me?
Exactly. Yeah, it's parental guidance. It's up to you.
Watch the movie. We'll tell you, like, it's a Disney movie. It's for kids. Like, that's easy enough, you know. This one has a lot of death in it too. Like, there are constant, like, a little girl dies at one point. But you know, cross-dresser is what's going to get them to catch it. It's always sex. It's never violence.
Right. Yeah. No. Yeah. Anything. There's a you know, I'm a horror movie fan, and
right.
There's this 80s horror movie, shot on video horror movie, where, like, there's a really funny joke about that, where, like, this mom's at the video store with, like, a stack of violent movies, and then, like, there's one that has sex in it, and she puts it back, but it's these movies that are like chainsaw dismemberment and blah blah blah. But, like, that is how it is. Like,
we're Americans, we love our blood, but don't show a nipple, because that will make us lose our shit.
Yep. Yeah. Or mention cross-dressing.
Yeah. So we've got the lake scene, which is a lot of fun. And then we have Mushu is just like, I'm not going to get anywhere if I'm not going into battle with Mulan, right? So he comes up with this idea of creating this marionette of a messenger to deliver orders to move these soldiers out to go and fight the Huns wherever the general is. And again, this is one of those really great scenes of, they can't get the horse because the horse is like, fuck off. So they have to find a panda, and they have this really great thing, this marionette that's put together with straw sticking out of it and everything.
And Lucky using his legs as a typewriter.
Yes, and Lucky using his legs as a typewriter too. That there are so many little jokes in here that they add in. That's really, like, Disney now just really doesn't have, I feel like, this kind of magic to it anymore, where they you know, like, and I haven't seen all of the most recent stuff, but I have seen some of them, and, you know, they just don't hit the same way, I guess. And that's fine. It's a 90s movie, you know, like, of course things change and evolve. Like, my love for most of these movies, I know, is 100% based in nostalgia, and not necessarily because they're good or great movies. Is why I don't want to watch the live action remakes, because, you know, the live action remake of Beauty and the Beast does not have Jerry Orbach voicing a horny candelabra. So what, you know, if you're not going to have that in here, I'm not showing up for it. You know, that's what I'm here for.
Yeah, that's all you ever want when we go to one of these.
Right. So they get the orders. They move out to go and take on the Huns. We get a marching song of A Girl Worth Fighting For, which is another really fun one on the on this whole thing. Again, I feel like it's still kind of a tongue-in-cheek thing that they're shooting for, where it's Mulan being the one girl, and, you know, just like, but what about these other things? You know, a girl with a brain who speaks her mind, and they're like, nah, we don't want that.
Yeah.
You know, it's the generic kind of, I want a woman who thinks that I'm really great and awesome and never questions anything that I do, right? The
Weezer song, I want a girl who laughs for no one else, but without a hint of irony to it.
Exactly. And this is another great marching song, another montage song where they got to get from one place to another. They didn't have C-130 airplanes like we do now, so you just have to walk
Take a
wherever you
horse,
want to
man.
go. Yeah, if you want to go do war, you got to walk over there to hit them with your swords.
That's how it should be. Still, I think there'd be less war if we still did it that way.
I've been reading a lot of books about historical fiction books that take place during the wars, during the Napoleonic Wars. So where you had to walk everywhere. So yeah, bring it back. Let's go for a walk. If you made me walk more than about 5 miles, I'd be like, no, you go fight your own war at this point. I wasn't built for this. I was built to take pictures as a public affairs, not walk somewhere and then hit somebody with a sword.
Who do you think you are?
Yeah. So they walk and they get to the battlefield and they find the village is completely burned to the ground. Throughout all of this, we're getting little snippets of the Huns as well as they start moving across. The opening scene is the Huns going over the Wall of China and moving into China proper. And they find a doll and they're like, we have to, I want to return this doll to this girl, and destroys the whole village and destroys the general's army. Which, again, I'm one of those like, what I don't know where the rest of the army is, because like this should be in the millions, but we
gotta have it fit your scene, like that's gotta fit. And like you sort of touched on it earlier, but that was one of the things I had in my notes too, is like, I forgot how fucking dark this gets for a Disney movie. Like, because you always get like a Bambi or Lion King, one parent dies, but like this was not just one parent, but an entire army and village of people.
Yeah, a bunch of innocents and an entire, and then showing the bodies, showing like, this is the battlefield. This is what it looks like. Like, this is what war is.
It helps that Shan Yu really is a great villain.
Yeah,
like really cool looking. And that's Miguel Ferrer doing the voice of him is so great. I forgot Miguel Ferrer. I love Miguel Ferrer. He was like one of my favorite character actors, and completely forgot that this was like one of his big things was doing like the main that voice of the main villain in this.
Yeah, and he really works as a main villain because there's no there's nothing complicated about him, which I kind of like. It's not like Scar, who we have a whole story with Scar, and we have he's part of the family and betrays the family and then takes over and does all of this stuff.
And he's not like debonair like Gaston or something. You know what I mean? Like he's just like a villain.
Yeah, he's just a bad. There's nothing redeeming about him. He's not good at whatsoever. He's just a shithead, and we're all going to be happy when he dies in the end. So, we have this scene, and then we have some more marching over some mountains, and then the Huns find them as well. So this is kind of our final battle scene. This is a short movie. It's only like 87 minutes long. So it moves along at a really good clip, and
the credits are like 12 minutes long. The movie's only like an hour and 15.
Yeah, it is a very short movie, which, bring that back, please.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, this is a nice little movie that's wrapped up very quickly. We have the Huns come thundering down the mountainside to wipe out our last brave band of heroes. Fire arrows start to rain down, lighting the one cart they have of rockets on fire, so they have to get the rockets off. They're down to one rocket, and Mulan grabs it and shoots it up into the mountainside, where it causes an avalanche and wipes out the Hun army.
That's another very funny scene when Mushu is like, he doesn't know what she's doing.
Right.
And he's like, as he's flying through the air, he's like, how could you have missed? He was right there. He's like,
yeah, he's 3 feet in front of you, and then explodes on the mountainside. And yeah, the whole thing comes down. And very exciting scene because Shang Li is knocked unconscious during the avalanche, and Mulan has to go and save him. And it's very, very exciting. A lot of saving. The Huns are completely wiped out. But unfortunately, Mulan is discovered to be a woman. So, by law, Li Shang is supposed to kill her, but does says life for a life and leaves her and walks off. Leaves her to die in the winter in the mountain pass with no clothes. Apparently, that's what leaving her to be alive, I guess, means.
And that's what this is. Also, you've got Chifu doing he's like bloodlust with this. You know what I mean? He like really wants Li to, or Li Shang to kill her. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's standing there like goading him on to do it.
Yeah, he's an asshole the entire time. I think he has a little bit of a redemption at the end. He does the right thing eventually, but look, he's just following the law. There's always that guy, There's always the cop.
Well, and he so desperately wants to be like the number one guy.
Right. So Mulan is discovered. The Huns are wiped out. And the heroes of China go back to celebrate that they have saved China from the Huns. But we start to see our main bad guy pop out of the snow, as like daisies. Shan Yu pops out of the sun, out of the snow. He's got his two buddies with him. The only two other people that have like words during this on the in the Huns horde. And they're just like, no, we're gonna go back and we're gonna do this. And Mulan's like, I have to go and warn the emperor. So
save the day once again.
And so she gets there. She gets. There's a parade going. It's great. The heroes of the empire, but everybody obviously looks really sad because they know that Mulan's the real hero. I would also say probably a lot of post-traumatic stress from watching literally thousands of people die in front of you.
Right.
Probably not helping. But we don't talk about that in Disney movies. We don't talk about that.
They're just sad because they know she was the hero.
Exactly. So Mulan comes back in and she's trying to warn people and nobody listens to her. And she's like, why is nobody listening to me? And it's like, well, you're a woman again. Nobody listens to a woman. So
yeah.
So once the Huns kind of make themselves known and they go, and the idea is they're just going to kidnap the emperor and make the emperor bend the knee and give them whatever they want. So they infiltrate the Forbidden City, they capture the emperor, and Mulan enlists the help of her former compatriots to dress up as women as the Be a Man song plays again. Really a really great kind of crescendo ending to all of this is bringing this back,
turning it on its head a little bit.
Exactly, having Yao and Ping and Chin Li dressed up as she was in the beginning, right? Where she had to have the flowery dress and the face paint and the makeup and everything, all the womanly features. And they use their scarves to scale the pillars of the Forbidden Palace, much in the same way as we saw before. A little Chekhov's gun coming back around,
That's
a little
right.
bit of, we saw it before. We're going to see it again.
Only they're all doing it now.
Exactly. As well as Shang Li, who does not put the makeup on because he is still the manliest man we've got. So
right.
we can't embarrass him with this, but we can at least get him to climb up and save the day as well. And of course we've got our, so they get up there, we've got our final fight scene. The movie ends up ending, with Mushu strapping a rocket to his back and shooting himself into, Shan Yun and into another, pillar full of fireworks. And the assumption is he blows up all over, the Forbidden City.
Yep. There's just chunks of him everywhere.
Exactly. So, and Mulan is offered whatever she wants, and she just wants to go home. She goes home, presents the sword of Shan Yu to her father and the crest of the emperor, and we have this very touching scene of father-daughter. The daughter comes back to the father, and he doesn't care about all that. He just is glad to have his daughter back, and it's a very sweet film that has a little bit of a romance angle to it, but not like a lot of Disney movies, especially princess movies, are princess and prince and the budding relationship that we have throughout the whole thing.
Yes.
Even during this, we know Mulan's into it, but she does not. She's like, okay, I like catching a piece of that, but also I have other things to focus on at this point, which are war and killing Huns and not getting my freak on. So
no high fives for her, actually.
Exactly. She doesn't get high fives until we're done killing all the Huns.
No, but I did like that about it. I forgot that it doesn't end with the two, the guy that she's supposed to end up with and her having a kiss at the end. You know what I mean? No, it doesn't. Right. It doesn't go that way.
Right. It is still obviously he is falling for her and there will be a romance later, but it's they don't have to make it all kissy and stuff.
Right. It lets you figure that out on your own, basically.
Exactly. Now, so that's Mulan. I will say there was a Mulan 2 as well that got absolutely terrible reviews. Nobody liked it. They did get most of the voice actors back, but they didn't get Eddie Murphy. Instead, they hired a guy who is known to be an Eddie Murphy impersonator.
Oh my God, I didn't know that.
Yeah. They got, yes, Mark Mosley, who is specifically says, oh yeah, this guy is a
Yeah, he does. He's known as a voice double for actors such as Eddie Murphy, Patrick Stewart, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Patrick Warburton, and Robin Williams.
that's a good gig. I feel.
Yeah.
Like if you could just sound like other people and get like I'm half off Eddie Murphy. That works for me, you know.
He does a lot of video game voice work too.
Yeah, that sounds like for me that's the dream, right? Like
Yeah.
to be a voice actor. Like Eddie Murphy didn't even go into a studio. He's just like I want to do this in my studio at home.
Yeah.
Because he was a music person at the time too. So like he had a studio that he could record in.
It's podcasting, but it pays better.
Yeah, exactly. So that's Mulan. I watching it again, and I probably the last time I watched it was maybe a couple of years ago with my daughter because she knows it's one of my favorites. So it continues to be a favorite movie of mine. It's not my favorite Disney princess movie because that would be Princess and the Frog.
Yeah, it's a good one.
It is. Yeah, but it is my favorite Disney princess. Like I really love Mulan. She's a warrior. She joins the military. I identify with her more than any other Disney princess, I guess, because she also went to war. None of the others do. Merida never did. Merida just had to fight a bear. Like that wasn't.
Well, I was again having come back to this and rewatched it. And I had talked about. I mean, goddamn, I did Lion King a year ago. But I remember at the time saying, I need to go back and revisit some of those ones that were like at the end of the golden age, but I was a little too old for because I was like becoming older in high school and like I can't watch Disney movies, even though I secretly did watch them a couple times. And I don't have the same Lion King, Aladdin, Beauty and the Beast. I think Hunchback of Notre Dame was like the last one that I watched like a bunch of times. Maybe I have to look at the timeline.
That one did not get very good reviews either.
No, but I was still at that age where I was like, it's the new Disney movie. This made me, my resolve to like, hey, you know what? I should go back and rewatch like the Pocahontas and some of the other ones that came after Lion King. Because Lion King was like the last one that I had like a really big affinity for. But the couple that, and again, I'd have to look at the timeline of Disney movies to see like which one specifically I probably watched a handful of times. But like, yeah, like I said, Mulan, I saw it once or twice. And every one of that like later era golden age I probably saw once or twice, and like watching this and being like that was really good. I need to go back and revisit those. Like I really need to like stick to that.
Yeah, so the Disney Renaissance movies are Little Mermaid, Rescuers Down Under, Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, Lion King, Pocahontas, Hunchback, Hercules, Mulan, and Tarzan in 1999.
Oh yeah, I forgot about Tarzan.
Yeah, Emperor's New Groove was not until 2000, so they don't consider that in the Renaissance era. But yeah, it started strong and kind of. I remember Hunchback not being all that great. It's been a long time since I've seen it. I haven't seen Tarzan, but I do know that's the one where Phil Collins just fucking went bonkers with the soundtrack. So I might need to pick that one up.
The songs are not very good. The Phil Collins songs are not very good.
Well, Eric, I really appreciate you coming on to talk about this. I'm glad to hear that you enjoyed watching this. I always, for a lot of times in podcasts, they want us to watch shitty movies, and I'm over that. I don't want to waste my time with bad movies anymore.
I get it. I'm sure I'll get invited on more podcasts to do more bad movies. So thank you for letting me have a good one here. I appreciate that.
I will say, have you ever watched another military movie? Oh, I already did this one, but have you ever watched VFW? I think it was 2019.
Yeah. The Old Men. Yes, I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. The guy who wrote that writes kids' books now. So
really,
yeah, I'm gonna Max Brailer. He writes a series called The Last Kids on Earth, which is my daughter loves The Last Kids on Earth books. It's zombie apocalypse and there's only kids left kind of thing. So, zombies are kind of in his blood, I guess.
Pretty good gig though to like write children's books. I feel like would be a pretty good way to make a living.
Yeah. Hopefully I'm going to get some of those guys on here too. I'm, anybody that my daughter really likes. I'm like, well, if this is going to be a dad podcast, I guess I should bring on, the people who do the dad stuff out there.
Yeah. I mean, what the heck? Make that pivot fully.
Fully. Eric, why don't you go ahead and talk about your show?
So I have a podcast called Soundtracker. Francis has been on twice and we're talking about a third time here. Got to figure out what, but, I was off for about 6 months. I just started back again. I'm doing an episode every other week instead of weekly right now, just because there's a lot of stuff on my plate. My plan is to, by 2025, be back to some sort of weekly schedule. I will say that of the episodes that I've done since I came back, I did the SpongeBob SquarePants movie. I did Good Will Hunting. Just last week, I did American Pie with Ben Collins, the CEO of The Onion. And my next 2 episodes are Across the Spider-Verse with Ed Zitron and Repo Man with, if you're very into Twitter, the Hell Dude is doing Repo Man. So those are all recorded and those will be out here within the next month or so. And got a lot of good stuff lined up. Trying to do something cool for the show's third birthday. And I'm check it out. You can find it anywhere you listen to podcasts. It's on Apple, Spotify. I don't know. There's a million podcast apps, but it's on there.
Yep. And we will have links to all of that as well. I'm going to I'll bring another Disney musical to you. I've
done enough. I've only done Lion King. That's the only one I've done so far. So, I would look Aladdin or something.
I am your musical guru here. I will guide you because my love for musicals did not grow from watching the golden age of musicals. It grew from watching the movie Newsies in the early 90s.
Which is one we've talked about doing before.
Yes, that is absolutely the one that I would do. It is one of my favorite musicals. I know all of the songs by heart. So I have a weird my upbringing for musicals and the musicals that I really like has a very, very strange origins, I guess.
A weird entry point.
Right. Yeah, I didn't grow up watching Guys and Dolls, although I will absolutely suggest we watch Guys and Dolls because Golden Age stuff is really weird and fucked up in some of the best ways. So we'll keep it up. You keep recording. We'll find some time to come on, and I'll bring you back on as well. We'll talk some other stuff.
Yeah,
right?
That sounds good. I like doing this, and I'm for a guy who does this podcast about movie soundtracks, I have quite a bit of a blind spot to musicals that aren't like Disney or like Cannibal the Musical or something.
Right. And that's completely understandable. You're a horror guy, there's not a lot of horror musicals out there. I guess Sweeney Todd, maybe.
There was
sucked.
Repo, the Genetic Opera, but that movie sucks. So
yeah. Now we'll get you some nice women with parasols singing to burly men with square jaws about how they can't wait to, I don't know, stop doing everything and have babies, I guess.
Right. Yeah, that's the old fashioned stuff.
Exactly.
All right. Sounds great. I'm looking forward to it.
All right, Eric. Thank you so much. Everybody, thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you next week.
Zoom.